Here.
Mr. Bonacci?
Here.
Mrs. Powers?
Here.
Mr. Spangler?
Here.
Mrs. Wright?
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry, the screen isn't working as well as it should be, but this sliver is working. Okay, first order of business is minutes. I wish to recommend that the Board of Education approve the minutes for the following board meetings. June 6, 2012 special meeting, June 11, 2012 community meeting, see myself, June 28th regular meeting, and July 9th regular meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Spangler and seconded by Mrs. Wright. Roll call.
Mr. Bonacci?
Aye.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright?
Aye.
Mr. Armstrong?
Abstain.
Okay, can we have the treasurer's report, please?
Item A, wish to recommend the Board of Education approve the financial report and check register for June 2012 as presented in the attached exhibits.
So moved.
Second.
It's moved by Mrs. Wright and seconded by Mr. Spangler. Roll call.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright?
Aye.
Mr. Armstrong?
Aye.
Mr. Bonacci?
Aye.
Item B, I wish to recommend the Board of Education approve the financial report and check register for July 2012 as presented in the attached.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Mr. Armstrong, seconded by Mrs. Powers. Roll call.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright?
Aye.
Mr. Armstrong?
Aye.
Mr. Bonacci?
Aye.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Item C, I wish to recommend the Board of Education approve the permanent appropriation resolution as presented in the attached exhibit.
So moved.
Second.
It was moved by Mrs. Wright and seconded by Mr. Spangler. Roll call.
Mrs. Wright?
Aye.
Mr. Armstrong?
Aye.
Mr. Bonacci?
Aye.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Item D, I wish to recommend the Board of Education approve the petty cash and change funds instituted in accordance with board policies 6620 and 6625 as presented in the exhibit.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Powers and seconded by Mr. Spangler. Roll call.
Mr. Armstrong?
Aye.
Mr. Bonacci?
Aye.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright?
Aye.
And item E, return of advances. I wish to recommend the Board of Education approve the return of advances fiscal year 2012 as presented in the attached exhibit.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Wright and seconded by Mr. Bonacci. Roll call.
Mr. Bonacci?
Aye.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright?
Aye.
Mr. Armstrong?
Aye.
That concludes my portion of the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This time we have comments from the audience, and I have a request from Mr. Damon.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to take this opportunity, this is probably going to be the last time I'll see the board all together, to thank you for the opportunity of the time I've done here. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank former board members, Mrs. Armstrong, Mrs. Doolittle, Mrs. Matthews, and Mr. Marioli. They were very good to me during my duration here. I do appreciate that, and I would like to extend my thank you to them. I think part of the reason I want to step up here is I've never really gotten a chance to come up and say so in an informal manner, so I'm going to babble for a minute if you don't mind. I'd like to thank Kyle Feldman for steering me to this job in the first place on occasions, and I'd like to thank Dr. Jones, Mrs. Baldwin, and the current board, because as I stand here tonight, probably for the last time. The abuse, the outrageousness that I've witnessed over the last 5 years of employment here, I can speak my mind on it tonight. You folks are my heroes. You stand up here, you take all the criticism in the world, yet nobody but yourselves see what you go through on a daily basis, suffering through the decisions that nobody wants to make. I said from day one, nobody likes anybody who makes tough decisions. They're just a target. That's a big statement, because you guys have all been targets at one time or another. I've heard you called communists. I've heard you called fools. I've heard you called names that were just ridiculous. And tonight, I would like to say that I've always had your back. It is a democracy. We can agree to disagree, but I've always had your back when it meant the best for the school system, for the students of the school system, in the big picture. When you come right down to it, the likes and dislikes of this community are always voiced here. Your voice is rarely heard except in the way you operate, which is with dignity and honor. Our teachers, our bus drivers, our mechanics, our cooks, our custodial people, our maintenance people, all follow great leadership. There may be times when it doesn't look that way, but what you face on a daily basis, in my eyes, is ridiculous, along with them. There's a small contingency in this city who seem to take everything that's bad and twist it and twist it. To them I say, get a new name, get a new life, and let things go in the natural process. If you don't like it, you can do what I've done. Look to go somewhere else. I'm going begrudgingly, only because of my opportunities that we've discussed, my wife and I. But you folks, you stay here. You dig your spurs in. Don't let them push you around. They're going to get in the paper tomorrow, and they're going to have something nasty to say about me and something nasty to say about you. I don't care. I feel for you. This is a great leadership team that's been assembled. I believe in it. I believe in the dismay that comes with it, coming from the private sector to the public sector, learning as I have from all of you how things go. It's tough to sit outside and understand it. It's very easy to sit outside and criticize. Criticism is poison to a school system. It's poison. Our kids look at this, our students look at this, and it's poison. And those of you who know I'm talking to need to understand, it's a democracy. It is not a one-sided ordeal. And if you follow the facts, the truth will come. And the only thing we can operate on with any dignity is to get to the truth. Not the slighting in the public sector, the media, the Stow Patch, the Stow Century. If they can't find something they don't like that you've done wrong, they'll make it up. But it needs to end. And as I said, you're very dignified in what you do, and I applaud you. So I bid you adieu, good luck, and I hope it all goes well. And always know that my wife and I, our hearts are in Stow, and we support our school system, our teachers, our administrators, and our students. Thank you.
John, on behalf of everyone, I would like to thank you for your years of service to the district. Can't even mention all the things that you've done that have been above and beyond the call of duty, and I wish you well. And good luck in the future.
Thank you.
I'd like to also say how much we appreciate Mr. Damon's efforts. He's a Stow guy. You know, he's been here his whole life. And maroon and gold is what he believes. And we appreciate all he's done. And he took over a tough situation in the bus garage. We had some issues. You may remember some busing things we had with some delays some time ago. And it's a well-oiled machine now. He's taken on additional responsibilities with maintenance and so on. And we do appreciate all of his efforts. and we'll miss him. And the first recommendation I have are the personnel recommendations, and that includes his resignation from our district. I know he did that. It was difficult for him to do that. He and his wife have a great opportunity to move to South and continue with their lives in the next chapter, the next step, and you'll be missed, Mr. Damon. You'll be missed.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I do not have any other requests for comments. Is there anyone else this time? Come up to the microphone, please. Eric? Yes, please state your name and your address.
Yeah, I'm Jim Barnett, Stow, Ohio, 47 years. So I've been here all my life. I don't have any reason for accolades, okay? I really don't. I've done nothing wrong, so I don't butter anybody up. I'm here tonight in opposition of a levy. The state's already said no. It's a tin-cup levy. That's it. Fathers can't afford this crap. Too much. You keep coming back. That well's going so deep. Give us a break. Check in your pocketbook somewhere, huh? I know there's a lot of money there. So do you. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that has comment? Okay, then I'd like to move on to superintendent's recommendations.
Thanks, Ms. Powers. I have some personal recommendations, and we have a number, including employment,
Then they shut me
resignation,
off.
retirement, call for reduction in force, transfers, Title I tutors. We are down one Title I tutor from last year, although we do plan on replacing that position, so you'll be seeing that in the next week or next board meeting likely. Also an ESL tutor. We do have a second one posted, so we're not all the way there yet. What we do as the school year starts, we see the children we get, some of their needs, just to kind of email about a student who had some ESL needs today that we had no idea, but she's here, and so we have her help take care of that. And also a few additional supplementals. We're getting that close, but as sometimes folks resign, we find positions, we'll need to fill some more of those in as we move on. So, you can take them all together. I do wish to recommend the Board of Education approve the certified classified employee recommendation as presented in the exception.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Powers and seconded by Mr. Spangler. Roll call.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright? Mr. Armstrong?
Aye.
Mr. Benacci?
Aye.
Item B is enrollment in the Ohio Schools Council Group Retrospective Rating Program, which recommended the Board of Education enroll into the Ohio Schools Council Group Retrospective Rating Program with Sheakley Uniservice, effective January 13th through December 13th, as presented in the attached exhibit.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Mrs. Wright, seconded by Mrs. Powers. Roll call.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright? Mr. Armstrong?
Aye.
Mr. Benacci?
Aye.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Item C is the Cleveland Clinic Transportation. I think you may remember during our work session, we talked about a student who is going to the Cleveland Clinic. And we looked at doing it in-house, hiring outside service. We have reached an agreement with the parent at a much reduced rate to provide that transportation. So I do wish to recommend the Board of Education approve an agreement with private transportation for the student number listed to and from the Cleveland Clinic Center for Autism at a rate not to exceed $130 per day, paid through IDEA grants.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Powers and seconded by Mr. Spangler. Roll call.
Mrs. Wright?
Aye.
Mr. Armstrong?
Aye.
Mr. Benacci?
Aye.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
The MSB contract, I do wish to recommend the Board of Education renew the MSB contract as presented in the attached exhibit.
Is that the only speaker they got?
Second. Moved by Mrs. Wright, seconded by Mrs. Powers. Roll call.
Mr. Armstrong?
Aye.
Mr. Benacci?
Aye.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright?
Aye.
Okay, the next item is item E, commemoration of school facilities, and I think there ought to be some comment about this. First piece is all aboard was at the dedication of our new turf field, and we sincerely appreciate all the work of the best organization in making that happen. It was about a 3-year dream, and we had, of course, our first few events this past week at our field. And our board policy allows us to commemorate school facilities for a variety of reasons, including the individual making a sizable contribution to the development and construction of the facility, the individual providing general long-term support for the district, the individual gaining prominence, which in turn creates a positive image for the district. And it's largely through the efforts, largely through the efforts of the individual that the facility exists at all. And we probably could combine a number of those to, in terms of my next recommendation to the board. So in terms of the field, I would like to read the nomination, and that is to recommend that Ron Marhofer Auto Family Field be the name of our field at Bulldog Stadium. The major financial contribution that the Marhofer family really made this whole thing possible, particularly this year. After meeting with Mr. Marhofer and the best representatives, Mr. Prusa, Mr. Mosser, Mr. Marhofer agreed to contribute $100,000 to the turf improvement project to complete the stadium. That is obviously a significant and well-appreciated financial contribution. This was the nominator of this was Mr. John Prusa, President of BEST. And so I would like to take these separately if we may, so that we can kind of recognize them. So I do wish to recommend to the Board of Education approve the naming of Stow Munroe Falls High School football field to the Marhofer Auto Family Field.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Armstrong, seconded by Mr. Benacci. Roll call.
No, Spangler.
Was it? I didn't believe it was something. Okay, Mr. Spangler.
Mr. Benacci?
Aye.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright? Mr. Armstrong?
Aye.
We also have a second recommendation in terms of commemorating our facilities. And I think anybody who's been associated with our school district, when we say coach, we all know who we're talking about. That's the late Jim Tyree. He touched the lives of literally thousands of youngsters in our school district, parents, community members, representatives from other school districts and other communities. And upon his passing, I cannot tell you how many emails and phone calls that I received suggesting, imploring me, us, that we commemorate his contributions to all of the children of the school district by naming our gymnasium after him. With the reliance on Mr. Feldman, our athletic director, who has a close relationship with the Tyree family, immediately they wanted some distance. They wanted to not only grieve, but more importantly, celebrate his life and his contributions to all of us. And after giving it a little bit of time, the family agreed to give us the opportunity to name our high school gymnasium after Coach Jim Tyree, naming it the James G. Tyree Gymnasium. His contribution, long-term faculty member, coach, friend, and mentor to so many. He made a substantial contribution to the Stow Munroe Falls City School District as as a faculty member and coach, Coach Tyree had an impact on students in the classroom and on many athletic teams. Many of the alumni have discussed the positive impacts that Coach Tyree had on their lives. He's an outstanding educator, coach, and friend. He had a chance to be at his funeral, which I had the privilege of being at, and to hear the commemoration, the memories, the respect for that man is really beyond belief. After consulting with the family, it was agreed that we would put together a plaque to be installed in the outside the entrance of the gymnasium doors, and it would read James G. Tyree Gymnasium. I'd like to thank the nominator, Mr. William Gano Jr., who I do believe is here. Mr. Gano, would you please stand up? And he was really the champion behind all of this, but had a wave of supporters to name our gym after Coach Tyree. So, I do wish to recommend the Board of Education approve the naming of the Stow Munroe Falls High School Gymnasium to the James G. Tyree Gymnasium.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Wright, seconded by Mr. Benacci. Roll call.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright?
Aye.
Mr. Armstrong?
Aye.
Mr. Benacci?
Aye.
Item F are gifts. I wish to recommend the Board of Education accept the following gifts. Mulberry Gardens donated school supplies to Echo Hills. The Knox family donated school supplies and $149 to Indian Trail School. And Audrey Goodnow donated one Canon A31 camera to the Stow Munroe Falls High School photography class.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Powers and seconded by Mr. Spangler. Roll call.
Mr. Spangler?
Aye.
Mrs. Wright?
Aye.
Mr. Armstrong?
Aye.
Mr. Benacci?
Aye.
Mrs. Powers?
Aye.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Is there any old business for this evening? Okay, any new business? I know it was late today. I did send an email. Did everyone have an opportunity to open it up and take a look at the attachment that I had? One more, please. Yes. This item is a proposal from the Taft Law Firm. We had a discussion about trying to rein in our costs for legal fees. They have agreed to have put us on a retainer for cap set at $12,500 per month for a total of $150,000 for the year, with a few exceptions, and I just wanted to bring it up for some discussion. Anybody had any questions or comments?
Some discussion on that. As you know, I was looking into the attorney fees, and I saw that we were spending approximately, on round numbers, $370,000 on average year. And so I had spent the last 2 weeks in my spare time going down and going through the invoices and trying to categorize what these expenditures were, like, were they negotiations, was it general school business and that. And basically, there was 3 attorneys or firms that we were using at the time. And what it came out to, it appears that if I would to take this $150,000 a year, okay, does not include any negotiations or unfair labor practices or any of that, okay? So say last year, we're going to, the reason I say this is because we're going to negotiations again this year. Okay, and last year we spent over 70,000 negotiations. So you take the 150 and you add the 70 to it. Now we're using another law firm. Also, now if you say we eliminate that law firm, I'm not sure. That would, we're spending about $78,000 with that particular law firm. And then there's another law firm which is doing predominantly work for police and that. We're spending about $37,000 a year there. Now, because the invoices were redacted heavily, I couldn't see everything. So it's about $30,000 in invoices that I could not categorize. I did send an email on August 1st to look at the unredacted invoices. I haven't had a response yet. But anyway, when I add, then there was roughly $8,000 paid to an outside law firm, another law firm through a law firm. Okay, so I add all that together, I'm at $343,000, and that's using the $150,000 that we have here. So I'm not sure. I mean, I think we need to go down, or maybe this could work as a basis then, if this is the draft that we want, the type of service we want, to put it out for bid. That would be, I mean, that typically, a lot of times, a school district or a municipality or something would put this type of thing out for bid. And if this is the, the services that we want, the other thing on this particular letter here, I know that our agreement was $250 an hour with this firm when we just approved it about 2 months ago, 3 months ago. It was $250 an hour. So would that mean that negotiations and all that, would all that stay the same at $250, and that's not spelled out here at all? So I think, yeah, this is could be a good start to help just reduce it down. Maybe we could get it down to the $250,000 range, or maybe we could get an attorney who would go out there for $250,000 a year and do, well, I don't know. But I think this is a good start, maybe, to put it out for bid, or if we see something else we want to include, maybe we want to include negotiations in there.
Yeah. Of the 370 you dropped, do you have an idea how much was for the tap law? About $12 for tap?
TAP, none for TAP. It was
No,
Benish
TAP
at
is
the time.
new.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, the 370, well, it was 78 for one, 110, so you're looking at 300 something. And I said there was 30,000 I couldn't categorize in here, because they were heavily redacted.
what I'd like to see, Catherine and Russ, is of the dollars that was spent with this law firm, which had as part of the tap, from over this last year, the research, I'd like to know how much of those dollars that was spent would fall under this retainer, and how much this actual retainer would have saved us if it was in place over the last 12 months with this law firm. Like Rod said, he mentioned some had.
Right, and then we say that, and we put that out for
And
bid.
then I want to see, how much that makes.
We did address that question to Adam Miller of Taft Law Firm, and he went back and reviewed the matters that were covered and the bills that were paid that Mr. Armstrong is referring to. And he has stated that 90% of those items would be covered with his retainage, as noted in his proposal here.
But I think maybe we need to look at that, put that out for bid, because the invoices I looked at said negotiations on them. So either the invoices were mislabeled negotiations, and we paid, those added up to 70, those particular, because it was nice the way that Benish laid out the invoices and that, because they have each category in there. And I'll be more than happy to sit down and look at those and go through those. But the ones I looked at for negotiations in unfair labor practices were right at $70,000.
I definitely do like the idea of retaining.
Oh, I do too. And I think we need to go out to bid too.
So, and you move forward in this idea of retaining for sure.
So maybe we could sit down and look at the unredacted ones, and if we want to do exactly, if you want to sit down with me, and sit down and we can go through the unredacted ones and see exactly where they fall out in that particular area there. Because Benish was real nice, they had like 18 categories, that they built to and all that, and laid that out, and they had a numbering code, which I could kind of look at the numbering code and see what it was. But like I said, some of them were so heavily redacted, and I asked August 1st for the unredacted ones so I could look at them, to see and do a better job at categorizing.
Well, if I can just give an overview, we have, from Benish last year, it was about $250,000 roughly for Benish
Yeah.
bills. And, we said to them, hey, we have to cap this, we need to control this, we just can't, keep going at this hourly rate. What can you do for it? Because we do like the service, the history with the district, the knowledge, and those kind of things, extremely helpful as we move forward. So that's how we, that's what they came up with in terms of, all right, we can cap this at $12,500 a month, $150 for the year. And again, with negotiations set aside, that happens. I certainly understand.
See, that's why you got the
There are
150
also other
and
firms that
negotiations
we're
on
dealing
top.
with, and you mentioned,
This area.
yeah, that handles our tax, liabilities. And when you're looking at an expenditure of $30,000, what they recoup for us, and we really have to look at the whole big picture in terms of expenditures out and then what they are able to bring to us. But again, it's kind of like, to me, it's almost like, the whole concept, at least the concept of solar panels, energy education, retainer for our, let's rein in costs, limit it, and do the best we can. That's the goal. How
And
we
I
get
think,
there is.
I agree with you 100%, and that's why we should put it out there for a bid. That's exactly why we should do that. Because like you said, this is giving me a bid here at 150 plus, okay? Maybe we get a bid at 150 or 200, and knock that out. It was 250 with negotiations. Now, so.
Well, just to say, it's not a bid. I mean, they've changed our
Right,
rates
right,
to that.
that's
And
no
then if we
problem.
decide.
We
we
can
wanna
put it
go-
out, but we can go, it can go out for bid. And just like the solar panels,
Like anything
agreed
else.
too. We're gonna look at another company this week, on solar panels. And I went out with that. So we look at those this week, I hope, or whenever you set it up.
Yeah, we're working.
Yeah, we're working on setting that up, so we can get competitive, yes, that's what we want.
I think
We
we
want
should, I
the
think we
best.
should be very competitive in this whole matter, but we have to make sure that the ones we pick are the ones that do the job that we require, not some brand-new, out-of-school individual who would love $150,000 just to start his practice.
I
So
would
we have to
like-
have people, the background has to be there for understanding and working with us.
Well, I would like to add that the current firms that we are working with, we're very satisfied with the work that they've done. They've worked really hard on Taft and Adam Miller have worked very hard to establish working relationships and collaborative relationships with our unions. And I can honestly say, after I started in the district, that was not the case with the firm that we were working with. And I believe that as administration here, we need to be able to work with the attorneys, and our unions need to be able to feel that we're all working and collaborating together. So I would say that we are doing our jobs to hold down costs here. We have a very attractive proposal here in front of you that we're very proud of, and at this point in time, I'm not suggesting that we need an actual RFP.
Do we know last time with the negotiations, how much attorney costs were involved in negotiations? Well, I mean, I'm expecting to know, I'd like to know what that number was, because one thing Brian did point out, this is everything except negotiations.
And
maybe that's-
unfair labor
Yeah,
practices.
maybe that's
and-
something we need to
and
look at.
arbitration. yeah.
This could be a good point for a lot of our legal issues, but maybe there's, as far as the negotiations, there's opportunities out there.
And there's no harm in putting it out.
Doesn't mean you have to accept it, doesn't mean, but at least you get the feel for market. I mean, on the labor side, on the negotiation.
Well, I would also add that in these past negotiations, both unions did agree to zero increase on the base and no longevity increases. They also agreed to increase the amount that they're paying for their insurance to the tune of this year 15%. We were able to do that and managed to get that kind of movement because of the relationship that we have. And there's nothing more important as we enter into these next negotiations is to maintain that continuity and that relationship. And I just don't think this would be the time to change up that part of the game.
I personally don't think, This, like I pointed out, this again could end up costing us $370,000 in next year. This particular contract at $150,000 worth going into the negotiations. So, and we always said that we took a savings on, when we were spending $200,000 to $250,000, we had said that we had taken the savings on attorney fees, and now we're at $370,000. So I agree with you, yes, in continuity, all that is fine, but we need to be prudent. And there's nothing wrong, there's nothing pushing that we have to go into tomorrow and sign a contract. Why not go out there with a public bid out and say, here's where we're at, what can you, if this is the basis that we want to use, or if we want to say, we wanted to include negotiations, or a firm price at some dollar amount, fine.
Mr. Armstrong,
I think
that's
we're on the
not-
same concept, that we want to save the district dollars, we want to do that, and
I would just say that's not in good faith. We talked with our attorneys about lowering costs. He came up with a proposal, and now use that as a tool to go out and create competition. That's really bad faith, and I really don't want to be part of that.
The only other thing I would say, Captain, and I don't disagree with you're saying, but maybe we need to talk a little bit about the negotiation dollar per hour fee coming up, what exactly, there's some kind of play in that.
And I would agree.
Because $250 an hour going to negotiation could get very expensive, like Rod said earlier. So maybe that's something we need to talk about also.
If I'm not mistaken, I think,
But-
if I understood the proposal correctly, I believe that the analysis and some of the legal research that will be done in the background is what is not included, but included are the actual negotiations. The time spent in front of the meetings, I believe, is a part of the retainer. I would say that Adam Miller has stepped up to the plate and made a great offer here. I think we should give him the opportunity. If we were going to be going out for a proposal, we just compromise integrity and pinning honest proposals, and I really don't want to be a part of that.
I understand your point.
So I agree with you, Fred. I think that we can have that discussion with Adam Miller, and he's, I'm
Yeah.
sure he will work
We need to
with us.
clarify exactly what his costs are going to negotiations. Seems to me that's the biggest cost that's looming for us coming up this school year with attorneys. So I think we need to understand exactly what falls under this retainer and what falls outside. And then also if it falls outside is, we look for some kind of relief a little bit there in order to keep our costs. Because quite honestly, $370,000 last year, in my mind, is exorbitant for legal fees. I don't think anyone at this table would disagree.
Not at all.
And we gotta get those costs under control, really.
We did.
That's the
And
effort.
especially if we plan on retaining the lawyers we have. Now, if we get the lawyer that does everything, and we eliminate the 78,000 we're paying the one law firm, and 36 we're paying, there's 100,000 right there.
There's also certain advantages with this firm too, with Taft. I mean, they have offices in Columbus, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, I think Cleveland. They have an army of attorneys at Adam's disposal. So if we run into a constitutional law issue with a school newspaper, for example, or yearbook or whatever, quick phone call, it's 5 minutes of research for this firm because of their intellectual assets that they have out there. If we go with a smaller firm, then they may need to do 6, 7, 8 hours of research to try to come up with an answer for us. So, which could be costly depending on the arrangement, and I'm not sure what that may be, but something else to consider.
Reading the OSBA, and, they even have set prices that they'll do for grievances or whatever now. And that, there's 700 and some school districts out there, and they all don't have this particular. So there's a lot of firms out there that do have the expertise.
Okay.
Not to change the subject, but when Rod the other solar company coming in to be looking at. I had at least 4 emails sent to me of people challenging why we would even consider spending $800 a month with Solar Planet, to have solar panels. I think what a lot of general public got misunderstood is when you were talking about the amortization and how the depreciation of their assets, and you're talking about $800 a month, and people challenging it. I think some public, they heard that $800, I'm not saying wrong, what you did.
That's what they
Well,
do.
but I think someone heard 800, and then if I was $800 a month, we're gonna spend, I just wanna clarify that, you know, we're not gonna spend a dollar on any solar panel, as far as I'm concerned, on any company we do.
We're
If it-
going to spend, right, we're going to get electricity, but we're going to sign a 25-year contract.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, what I, emails I got, thought we're gonna pay $800 a
I
year.
don't remember either.
Well, I mean, someone heard it, so that, I could support it for people.
$800 would be a bargain.
Just for the panels, it's not the electricity, it's just the equipment that they're gonna put on. So I just want to clarify, we're not paying, we're not gonna
And
pay.
I would agree, I think it's a good point to clarify that the infrastructure Solar Planet was going to be giving us. Otherwise, it would exceed a $25,000 threshold that in the revised codes say we would have to go out for competitive bids for. Absent us having to pay anything, we don't have to do that in this case. So I want that clear, that what we heard from Solar Planet is that they were going to take care of that bill and give us those solar panels and all the infrastructure at their cost. They pay for it, not us.
Well, yeah,
Wait a minute, let's back up. They weren't giving it to us. We were buying electricity from them. They were owning the panels. That would still be their property up front.
Correct, that's correct.
Okay, so that's a misnomer saying that they're giving them to us. Those are still their panels.
Let's buy. So I'll be interested to see when this other solar company comes in, compare apples to apples and see.
And see.
And then I think that'll make it a lot clearer. for all
And
of
looking
us.
at the type of panels too, where they come from.
Yeah,
If they come from China, or if they come from the US, so that's a big deal, that's really going on right now.
Yeah, well, yeah. So we'll take a look at it.
Okay, is there a need for an executive session this evening? Okay, then can I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Spangler, seconded by Mrs. Wright, roll call.